Is this you? You've booked your holidays to Germany. You're very excited. You're looking forward to the German towns, the German food, and the German beer. Or maybe this is you. You booked your business trip to Germany. You're exhibiting at a trade fair. You have to attend a business meeting or meet a prospective new client. But you don't speak any German. And you don't have time. You're already very busy with work and family life. How can you possibly fit in some German lessons? I'm Angelika Davy, that's me on the left, and I have the perfect solution for you. A 30-day challenge with bite-sized lessons, each lasting about 5 to 15 minutes and almost no grammar. But you will be equipped enough to have a wonderful holiday or even get that business deal. What are you waiting for? Join the challenge. I'm a native German speaker and qualified teacher who's lived in the UK since 1982. I've been teaching German for over 20 years, but always face-to-face or via Skype. Looking at other books and courses, I'm always intrigued when they promise you to be fluent in a language in 26 days or whatever. I wouldn't do that because that would mean practicing for hours, possibly 24 hours a day. Total immersion in a new language is of course the best way to learn it, but we don't live in an ideal world. Most of us intend to spend a lot of time with learning the new language, and then life gets in the way. Therefore most people shy away from even attempting to learn. So I had this idea a while ago of offering an email challenge with small tasks and a video which would enable the subscribers to get by in a forthcoming holiday. That challenge was a success, which encouraged me to convert these emails into a Kindle book. And then I discovered Udemy and realized that I have even more options here. So welcome to this first beginner's German for busy people. Here you will get small tasks, one for each day for 30 days. It won't take long to complete, but hopefully will be fun, and at the end you will be equipped with some basic important German words and phrases to accompany you on your holiday or even that business trip. Although this course is primarily aimed at absolute beginners, it might also be a good reminder for those who have learnt a little German a long time ago. It is also useful for those who are about to go to Austria or any other country where German can be spoken. You may find that certain words or phrases are different, but the principle is the same. The idea is that you complete one task every day, but don't worry if you can't do it. Just continue when you're ready or do more than one challenge a day to catch up. Nobody's checking up on you, and if it takes longer, I won't slap your wrist. Unfortunately, I can't sit in the pub with you to do a German lesson. It would be good, but I do enable you to learn German one step at the time. Greetings and hello to day one. And that is exactly what you will learn today, how to greet people. In the morning, you can say Guten Morgen. You can say that until about midday, but from 10 o'clock onwards, you can also say Guten Tag, which you can use all day, but it is usually used in the afternoon as there is no equivalent to good afternoon. In the evening, you will say Guten Abend. A more informal greeting is Hallo, or even Hi, or Ciao. The informal greetings always depend on when you are in Germany, what's fashionable at the time. If you go to southern Germany, Bavaria, or even Austria, you will hear Grüß Gott. And in Switzerland, you would hear Grüezi. So to recap all those words again, good morning is Guten Morgen, and I repeat, Guten Morgen, and I let you say it. Good. Good afternoon is Guten Tag, I repeat, Guten Tag, and your turn. Good evening is Guten Abend, I repeat, guten Abend. And your turn. I don't think you'll have any problems with the next one. Hello is hallo. I repeat, hallo. And you can say that. Hi, I don't think I need to explain. Ciao, grüß Gott, grüezi. You most of the time aren't really expected to reply back like that, but it is nice to know if you hear it that that's what they mean. So today's task, write the new phrases into your notebook, practice saying them. Go on, get on your family's nerves by greeting them in German during the day. Or you could message me here or even send a tweet with the hashtag 30dayGerman added to your tweet. And that's it for today. Have fun. I'll see you tomorrow. Guten Morgen. Or is it afternoon already? Then, Guten Tag. Unless you don't watch this until the evening. In that case, Guten Abend. Anyway, hallo. I'll send you my greetings today too. Your first task today is to greet back. So say hello to me in any form you wish. Good, you remembered. Today we'll learn how to introduce ourselves and how to ask others what their names are. The easiest way to say it is mein Name ist plus your first name and your surname. That's the closest to my name is, and that's why it's the easiest for us to remember. You could also say ich heiße, which literally means I'm called. Both of those, mein Name ist and ich heiße, are equally often used, so it doesn't matter which one you use. But always introduce yourself with your first name and surname. Germans are still a lot more formal than we are, and by using both names you give the German the chance to be as formal as they wish to be. If I were to introduce myself by saying ich heiße Angelika Davy, I can tell by the answer whether the German person wants to be formal or informal. If the answer is something like Hallo Angelika, then they most likely will use the informal you. If, however, the answer is something like Guten Morgen, Frau Davy, then they want to stay formal. As we're assuming you want to go to Germany on holidays and will be spending your time in hotels and with people you don't know and most likely not see again, we will stick to the formal you in this course. The same goes to business people. If you're going to a trade fair, if you're meeting prospective clients, or you're having dealings with a German company, you want to stay formal and introduce yourself with your first name and your surname, and not just with your first name, as it's so commonly done in the UK. Just be aware, though, that you would use different sentences when talking to good friends, members of the family, children, or animals. Anyway, back to the conversation. To ask somebody what their name is, you say, Wie ist Ihr Name? Or you could also say, Wie heißen Sie? If people ask you that question, it doesn't really matter which reply you use, so choose the one that you can remember the easiest. Now we all need is the word for Mr. and Mrs. Luckily, we don't need to worry about Miss or Ms, as they aren't used in Germany. So a man is called Herr and a woman Frau. And that's it. You can have your first mini conversation. For example, I may ask you, Guten Morgen, wie heißen Sie? And you can reply, Ich heiße, with your first name and surname, and then ask me back, und Sie? Because I didn't tell you. And I will say, Ich heiße Angelika Davy. So you can reply, Guten Morgen, Frau Davy. So to recap all this, what were the two ways of asking what's your name? Yes, wie ist Ihr Name? I repeat, wie ist Ihr Name? And I give you some time to do it. And the other one, wie heißen Sie? I repeat, wie heißen Sie? And I let you say it. And the answer, either mein Name ist, mein Name ist. So go on, tell me your name. or if you prefer, ich heiße. Ich heiße. So just to practice it, say that one as well. By the way, that funny letter which looks like a capital B is the SZ. It's a sharp S sound. Mr. was, yes, Herr. And Mrs. Frau. And Miss? We don't need it. So today's task. Write the new phrases into your notebook. Practice saying them. Get on your family's nerves again by asking them their names and telling them who you are, of course in German. Alternatively, you can message me here or you can send me a tweet. If you add the 30-day German hashtag to it, I will get it. Most importantly, have fun. See you tomorrow. Welcome to day 3. Today you will learn how to say where we come from. But first answer my question. Wie heißen Sie? Did you remember your answer? Yes? Great. If not, quickly check day 2 again. Anyway, today we're looking at the following question. Woher kommen Sie? Where do you come from? So I'll say it again. Woher kommen Sie? And I'll let you have a go. Good. When somebody asks you, woher kommen Sie? Your answer will be, ich komme aus, and then you name the country. So I come from plus the country. Ich komme aus England, which is England. England. Schottland, Scotland. Schottland. Wales is easy because Wales is Wales. Irland, which is island. Irland. Nordirland, Northern Ireland. Nordirland. You can tell I live in the UK because I've covered all the UK countries. I am adding also America, which is America. Canada, which is Canada. Now I know that's not really covering all the countries, and the chance is that your country has not been mentioned there. In that case, the best bit is if you go to one of the online dictionaries or go to Google Translate even, which is fine for that one, type in the name of your country, and when you see the German translation, click on the listening button to hear the pronunciation. So then you can say, ich komme aus plus your country. I've also added the 3 German-speaking countries. I doubt you will need to say it, but you may hear them saying it, so at least you know where they're coming from. So if somebody says, ich komme aus Deutschland, then they're Germans because they come from Germany. Ich komme aus Deutschland. Ich komme aus Österreich, which is Austria. Österreich. Ich komme aus der Schweiz, which is Switzerland. Der Schweiz. Now, Switzerland is one of the few countries where in German you need to say the gender beforehand. There are only about a handful, and Switzerland is one of them. I don't want to go into the grammar, so for the time being, just remember that if people come from Switzerland, they would say, ich komme aus der Schweiz, rather than just Schweiz. Today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook. Practice asking people where they come from and give your own answer. Get on somebody's, or maybe even everybody's, but that's at your own risk. Nerves by asking them where they come from, as before, in German, of course. And finally, und Sie? Woher kommen Sie? Go on, answer me. Welcome to day 4. Do you remember how to say I come from? I hope so. If not, quickly check yesterday's task again, because today we'll add I live in. Once people hear where you're from, they may ask you, wo wohnen Sie? Where do you live? Wo wohnen Sie? and your answer would be Ich wohne in plus the name of the town or the village. I live in. So my answer, for example, would be Ich wohne in Devizes. Chances they've never heard of your place. They certainly haven't heard of Devizes. So they would say Wo liegt das? Wo liegt das? Where is it? Literally actually means where does it lie? Or where is it situated? And you would say in der Nähe von, which is near and then another place. In der Nähe von. To give you an idea, this is a conversation I often have with Germans. They hear that I live in England, so they say, Wo wohnen Sie? And I say, Ich wohne in Devizes. Never heard of it. So they say, Wo liegt das? So I think of a bigger town and I say, in der Nähe von Salisbury. And I get a blank stare. In der Nähe von Swindon. Still a blank stare. In der Nähe von Bath. And I think, surely they must have heard of Bath and Salisbury. No, blank stares. In der Nähe von Stonehenge. Ah, Stonehenge. Of course, you could simplify it by adding the county or the country to the sentence. So, for example, I could say, Ich wohne in Devizes in Wiltshire. Or even, Ich wohne in Devizes in England. Now, when I teach yesterday's task and today's task, or the questions and answers in lessons, people often ask me when to answer with the name of the country or the town. My answer is, do it like you would do in English. If a German asks you in Germany where you are from, then you answer with Ich komme aus England or any other country. If a German asks you the same question, say for instance here in England, I mean they may be really grateful to found an English person who speaks German, then you answer with Ich komme aus and then name the town, or Ich wohne in plus the town, or even Ich wohne hier in plus the town, so I live here in whichever town you are. If you are in Germany and want to tell people where you're from, you could combine the two sentences by saying Ich komme aus, like I said there, Ich komme aus Devizes in England, which is another chance. Ich komme aus Devizes in England. Ich komme aus New York in America. Well, I guess most people would know where New York is, just in case they don't. So today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook. Practice asking people where they live and give your own answer. And message me and tell me where you're from and where you live. Or you can tweet me with the 30-day German hashtag. And I'll speak to you tomorrow. Guten Tag and welcome to day 5 or lecture 10. After only 4 small tasks, you can now greet somebody, introduce yourself and tell people where you're from. Have a go. Try it without looking it up, and only if you're stuck, check out days 1 to 4. How did it go? You remembered it? Well done. You couldn't quite remember it. Don't worry. With practice, it will stick. Today, we will only learn 4 small words. Yes, no, please, and thank you. I know that's 5 words in English, but only 4 in German. Yes is ja. Ja. No. Nein. Nein. Please is bitte. Bitte. And thank you. Danke. Danke. I'll repeat them again and leave a little gap for you to say it as well. Ja. Nein. Bitte. Danke. Now you can also say Ja bitte, yes please, if somebody's offering you a coffee and you would like to accept it. So I'll say it again. Ja bitte. And you can say Nein danke if you don't want one. No thank you. Nein danke. And that was it already. So today's task, write the new words into your notebook, practice saying the words. Maybe from now on, if a family member asks you whether you want a coffee or anything else to drink, maybe you'd like to answer them in German. And if you need to practice the first few lessons again, please do, but don't stress. It's got to be fun. Welcome to day 6. Today we're learning one important sentence. Sprechen Sie Englisch? Do you speak English? Sprechen Sie English? After you've given answers in German, it is possible that the German person continues talking to you in German and you haven't got a clue what they said. Quickly throw in Sprechen Sie Englisch before it gets too embarrassing. This is a very useful sentence for lots of situations. If you have lost your confidence and you don't dare say anything in German, by just politely asking them, Sprechen Sie Englisch, you're showing the German person that you are aware of your shortfalls, but you're making an effort, which is far better than barging in and shouting in English, which of course none of you would do, right? You may also hear the question, Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Do you speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? After yesterday's lesson, you can already answer with Nein or Ja, but we can make it a little bit more polite. Nein, leider nicht. Nein, leider nicht. I'm afraid not. Although I do hope that you rather use the answer on the right. Ja, ein bisschen. Ja, ein bisschen. Yes, a little bit. Many Germans are eager to practice their English with you, but not everybody speaks English, and even those that do appreciate your efforts. So it's well worth to learn a couple of these phrases. So today's task, write down the following sentences. Sprechen Sie Englisch? Sprechen Sie Englisch? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Nein, leider nicht. Nein, leider nicht. Ja, ein bisschen. Ja, ein bisschen. And then practice saying these sentences. Now, you may not be English, although you're listening to this course in English. If you would rather ask a German whether they speak your own language, then change the English in the sentence Sprechen Sie Englisch into your own language. If you need to know how to pronounce that word, find one of the online dictionaries that have a listening button as well, so that you can hear how to pronounce your language in German. And I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 7. Yesterday we learned how to reply to the Sprechen Sie Deutsch question. What was your answer again? Hopefully you said Ja, ein bisschen. You didn't? Well, then maybe today is a good day to look at several ways of saying sorry or excuse me. If you want to approach somebody for advice and you want to say excuse me, then you need Entschuldigen Sie bitte. Entschuldigen Sie bitte. I'll say it again. Entschuldigen Sie bitte. Or you can use the shorter version and just say Entschuldigung. Entschuldigung. You can use either of those, but don't mix them. So whichever one is easier for you, that's fine. Entschuldigung also works if you bump into somebody and want to apologize. But there is an easier word which I keep hearing more and more in Germany. Can you guess? Yes, it's sorry. So if you wanted to say, sorry, I don't speak German, you can say, tut mir leid, ich spreche kein Deutsch. Tut mir leid, ich spreche kein Deutsch. The whole sentence should actually be Es tut mir leid. But most of the time people don't bother. They're saying tut mir leid. Or they shorten it even more by saying sorry, ich spreche kein Deutsch. And finally, there are several ways to react if you don't understand something. You could say, please repeat that, please speak slowly, I didn't understand, can you say that again, any of those. But I think in a situation when you're stuck and you don't understand what the other person says, you want to get a quick word in to stop them from continuing. So we just learn how to say pardon, which is wie bitte. I'll say it again. Wie bitte. We've already had bitte. Wie bitte? That's nice and easy, isn't it? Saves all the other sentences. So today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook, practice them, bump into people and apologize in German. Well, maybe that's not such a good idea. Maybe just keep practicing. Welcome to day 8. Today we learn the days of the week, die Wochentage. And you will be pleased to know that they are very similar to the English words. I will say each word twice and then leave a gap for you to repeat it. So Monday is Montag. Montag. Tuesday, Dienstag. Dienstag. Wednesday, Mittwoch. Mittwoch. Thursday, Donnerstag. Donnerstag. Friday, Freitag. Freitag. Saturday, Samstag. Samstag. Or Sonnabend. Sonnabend. It doesn't make any difference which one of those two words you use. Practice them both and then decide on the one that you find easier to say. You just need to be aware of the other word, because it is possible that if a German talks to you, they may not use the same one as you do. But it really doesn't matter which one you use. And Sunday is Sonntag. Sonntag. And that's nearly it for today. Your task today is write down the days of the week and practice saying them. And you may just want to add 3 more words, which you may see. The first one is Ruhetag, which is a day of rest. And the other one is geschlossen, which means closed. Now you may see these words on a sign outside restaurants or cafes. So if you read Montags geschlossen or Montags Ruhetag and it's Monday, you won't get your coffee or your meal. Another very useful word to know is außer, which means except. You'll see this on bus or train timetables. If you try and find out what time a train runs, and for example it says täglich außer Sonntags, it means it runs daily except Sundays. It's usually written in small print, so look carefully. Even I once waited at the wrong platform and nearly missed a train because I didn't see the word außer. So practice your words until tomorrow. Welcome to day 9. Today we'll look at numbers and start with the numbers from 0 to 10. And I haven't spared any expenses and went to take pictures of lovely snails, or as they're called in German, Schnecken. So we start with 0, which is null. Null. 1 is eins. Eins. 2 is zwei. Zwei. Sometimes if you're hearing people give telephone numbers on the phone, You may also hear the word zwo, which they use instead of zwei, and that is so that you recognize it and don't mistake it for the next number, which is drei. Drei. 4 is vier. Vier. 5 is fünf. Fünf. 6 is sechs. Sechs. 7 is sieben. Sieben. 8. 8, which is 8. 9. 9, which is 9. 10. 10, which is 10. And you can now count all the way from 0 to 10. And I will do it just in one go. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can now answer to the question, wie ist Ihre Telefonnummer? What's your telephone number? Let's try it out. Somebody's giving you their telephone number. They may start the sentence with meine Telefonnummer ist, which is my telephone number is. They may say meine Handynummer ist, which is my mobile number. Nowadays they may even say meine Smartphone Nummer ist, which you recognize straight away. Now I'm going to give you 3 numbers and I will speak slowly, but you still may wish to pause the video to write the numbers down before listening to the next one. I will give you 3 numbers and I will read each number twice so that you can hear it. So the first one, meine Telefonnummer ist 059117 3465. I repeat that one. 059117 3465. The second one, meine Telefonnummer ist 03864 7925. I repeat that one as well. 03864 7925. And the last number, meine Telefonnummer ist 0432 8613. And I repeat, 0432 8613. Did you get them? This is what they were. The first number I read out was 05917 3465. The second one I read out was 03864 7925. And the last one 04328 8613. Well done if you've got them all. Don't panic if you did get some numbers mixed up. It doesn't happen overnight. It does take a bit of practice. So today's task, write the numbers from 0 to 10 into your notebook. Write down your telephone number and write underneath how to say it in German. Practice saying the numbers and your telephone number. But most of all is have fun while practicing. Yeah, don't just count 1, 2, 3. Make it fun. You're making sandwiches? Count how many. You're washing up? Count how many cups or knives or glasses or pots or whatever it is you're washing you've washed. Don't sit there and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, unless you're counting sheep and you're trying to go to sleep. Have fun.
If you think this slide looks familiar, you think, I've seen this beginner's German for busy people before, then you probably have. Because originally I decided on a 30-day challenge with 30 little bite-sized tasks, which I have now turned into 3 courses to make it even more bite-sized. And if you have seen this slide before, then you probably have done part 1 of the Beginner's German for Busy People challenge. That was 10 days, 9 little tasks, and then the 10th day was celebrating your success, which was the project. If you haven't done it yet, it may be a good idea if you do it. I'll put the link in the description, or you can find it on my page anyway. So, Beginner's German for Busy People Part 1, if you haven't done it yet. If you're looking forward to Part 2, then you're in the right place. And in Part 2, we're looking at directions, ordering food and drink, some advice for those who may be allergic to certain items of food. We move on with the numbers from 11 to 100 now. We check the time and some basic prices. And as in Part 1, Part 2 consists of 9 videos, 9 small tasks for you to do, which is day 11 to 19, and then day 20 of the 30-day challenge is your project where you will be celebrating your success again and see how much you've learned. So if you're looking forward to this, press the blue enroll button and get ready to learn more German. I'll see you then.
Welcome to day 11. Despite the fact that so many people have smartphones and only ask Google for directions, I think it's still nice to talk to real people, and not everyone has got a smartphone anyway. So today we'll learn how to ask for places. As in English, there are several ways of asking how to get somewhere. Some are easier than others. Some make a lot of sense but involve quite a bit of grammar. Grammar sounds scary to beginners. So we will just learn a very basic sentence by asking where is. Where is in German is wo ist. And then you just add the place you need. No, stop, not quite so easy. You may already know that German nouns can be masculine, feminine or neuter. So instead of the, you'll need der for masculine nouns, die for feminine nouns, and das for neuter nouns. So, if you're asking where the station is, you would say, wo ist der Bahnhof? And I repeat, wo ist der Bahnhof? If you need to know where the chemist is, you'll say, wo ist die Apotheke? I repeat, wo ist die Apotheke? And if you need to know where the hotel with whatever name it is, wo ist das Hotel? ... Wo ist das Hotel? If, however, you just want to know where there is a supermarket in the area, you could ask, wo ist ein Supermarkt? Wo ist ein Supermarkt? If you want to know where there is a pub nearby, wo ist eine Kneipe? Wo ist eine Kneipe? And if you fancy going to the cinema, you could say, wo ist ein Kino? Wo ist ein Kino? Other examples, wo ist der Dom? If you're looking for the cathedral, wo ist der Dom? Other masculine nouns, wo ist der Supermarkt? If you know there is one, wo ist der Supermarkt? Wo ist der Parkplatz? If you're looking for the car park, wo ist der Parkplatz? If you're looking for any car park, wo ist ein Parkplatz? Wo ist ein Parkplatz? If you're looking for other feminine nouns, wo ist die Kirche? If you're looking for the church, wo ist die Kirche? And any church, wo ist eine Kirche? Wo ist eine Kirche? The pub, maybe you know the name. Wo ist die Kneipe? Wo ist die Kneipe? A chemist, wo ist eine Apotheke? Wo ist eine Apotheke? And a few neuter nouns. Wo ist ein Hotel? If you're looking for any hotel really. Wo ist ein Hotel? Wo ist das Restaurant? Wo ist das Restaurant? If you're looking for a particular restaurant. Wo ist ein Restaurant? Wo ist ein Restaurant? If you're looking for any restaurant. Wo ist das Café? Wo ist das Café? A particular one. Und wo ist ein Café? If you're just looking for a café. Wo ist ein Café? Plural would be wo sind? Wo sind? As in, wo sind die Toiletten? If you know there are toilets, but you don't know where they are. If you're looking for any toilets, you don't need to use the die and you just say, wo sind Toiletten? Wo sind Toiletten? To recap all the words that I've mentioned in the video, wo ist where is. With a masculine noun, you would either use der if you're looking for a particular one, or ein if it's any one. The words I've mentioned so far were Bahnhof for the station, Dom for the cathedral, Supermarkt for the supermarket, Parkplatz, which is a car park. Feminine nouns I've mentioned are Kirche for the church, Kneipe for the pub, and Apotheke for the chemist. And if you're looking for those, you need die if you want to say the, or eine if you want to say a. Neuter nouns, which you would need das if you're looking for the, or ein for a again. Hotel, Restaurant, Café, which are nice and easy because they're almost like in English. Das Kino, the cinema. If you need to ask for something plural, you use wo sind, where are, as in wo sind die Toiletten. Now there's a pretty good chance that I have mentioned places here that you probably never ask for, and you really want to go to other places. For that, you would need to go and get the dictionary and find out what it says. Now, some dictionaries will tell you the gender by saying der, die or das. Others will just say masculine or an M even, feminine or an F, or neuter or an N. Google Translate will also give you the gender if you type the plus the word in English, and then you get der, die or das on the German side, and you can then click on the listening button to find out how to pronounce those words. Whatever means you use, try them out before you go on holidays, as there's nothing worse than trying to find your way around a dictionary when you need it urgently. One last thing, all these different genders seem quite daunting for beginners, so here's one tip, but I'm not going to say it out too loud. When you're in Germany for the first time and you're about to say something, but can't remember whether to say der, I or das, use any of them, or even mumble it, because most of the time the Germans only listen out for the important word and they don't even notice if you've got it wrong. So today's task, write the new phrases into your notebook. Add any other ones that you may need. Practice asking where these places are. Find somebody who you can ask in German, or message me here or via Twitter. And most importantly, enjoy yourself. See you tomorrow. Welcome to day 12. I hope all those different gender bits yesterday didn't confuse you too much. People always ask me, how can a station be masculine or a pub feminine? It's not the item that has the gender, it's the word for that item. But to explain that in more detail may make you lose the will to live, so we won't discuss this here, but if you are interested, I'm hoping to do a new course on gender, so look out for it. Anyway, did you practice your questions yesterday? Good, because today we look at some answers. The chance is that you would dazzle the Germans with your knowledge of the German language, and they would then give your answers in German. If that scares you, the other chance is that they spot your English accent and reply in English, as a lot of Germans like to practice their English. But don't be complacent, not every German speaks English. Again, as in English, there are several ways of giving directions, so today I'll give you some keywords or phrases to listen out for. Hopefully they will be enough for you to understand the given directions. They would start the sentence with gehen Sie if you're walking, or fahren Sie if you're driving. Links, left. Rechts, right. Geradeaus, straight on. Die erste Straße links, the first street on the left. Die zweite Straße rechts, the second street on the right. Die dritte Straße, the third street. Die vierte Straße, the fourth street. So you could hear die zweite Straße links, die dritte Straße rechts, or any combination like that. I don't think we need to go any further, because I think you would have lost count if you needed to count any more streets. But you still need auf der rechten Seite, on the right-hand side, auf der rechten Seite, or if things are on the left-hand side, auf der linken Seite. Auf der linken Seite. Let's do some listening exercises. I'm giving you some directions and I will read them twice each time, but feel free to stop it, pause it, rewind it as many times as you wish. So imagine you're looking for the bank. Wo ist die Bank? And the instructions you get are: Gehen Sie geradeaus, dann nehmen Sie die dritte Straße rechts. Die Bank ist auf der rechten Seite. And I'll repeat that a little bit slower. Gehen Sie geradeaus, dann nehmen Sie die 3. Straße rechts. Die Bank ist auf der rechten Seite. Did you hear the key words? Gehen Sie geradeaus, go straight on, dann nehmen Sie die 3. Straße rechts and take the 3rd street on the right. Die Bank ist auf der rechten Seite. The bank is on the right-hand side. Another one? You're looking for the cathedral, der Dom. Der Dom? Ja, da gehen Sie hier geradeaus, dann die 3. Straße links und dann die 1. Straße rechts. Der Dom ist auf der linken Seite. I'll repeat that one a bit slower. Der Dom? Ja, da gehen Sie hier geradeaus, dann die 3. Straße links und dann die 1. Straße rechts. Der Dom ist auf der linken Seite. Did you hear the keywords? Der Dom, ja, da gehen Sie hier geradeaus. The cathedral, well, you go straight on here. Dann die 3. Straße links, then the 3rd street on the left, und dann die 1. Straße rechts, and then the 1st street on the right. Der Dom ist auf der linken Seite. The cathedral is on the left-hand side. Let's do one more. You're asking for the chemist. Wo ist die Apotheke? And the answer was, da gehen Sie hier geradeaus, dann die 2. Straße links und die Apotheke ist gleich an der Ecke links. And a bit slower. Da gehen Sie hier geradeaus, dann die 2. Straße links und die Apotheke ist gleich an der Ecke links. Did you hear it? Da gehen Sie hier geradeaus, go straight on here, dann die 2. Straße links, then the 2nd street on the left und die Apotheke ist gleich an der Ecke links. And the chemist is straight away at the corner on the left. Well done if you did hear the words. Don't panic if you're still learning them. So the new phrases you've learned today are gehen Sie, go, fahren Sie, drive, links, left, rechts, right, geradeaus, straight on, die 1. Straße links, the 1st street on the left, die 2. Straße rechts, the 2nd street on the right, die 3. Straße, the 3rd street, die 4. Straße, the 4th street, auf der rechten Seite, on the right-hand side, und auf der linken Seite, on the left-hand side. Today's task is write the new phrases in your notebook and use any map and see if you can give very basic directions to a place in German. I'll see you tomorrow. Welcome to day 13. How did you get on with the directions yesterday? Especially with those 3 listening bits. Did you hear and understand the important words? Good. So if you need to find the way to a cafe or a pub, hopefully you won't get lost, because today we look at asking for some drinks. Most times you start the sentence with Ich möchte, I would like, and then you add what you want. Now there is one slight difference. Do you remember in day 11 when we said that one was ein or eine? Now that applies to when the noun is the subject, the main part of the sentence. Now if you like something, you are the subject of the sentence, and whatever it is you want is the object. Anything that you want which in German has a masculine noun, do you remember, der or ein, needs to be changed when it's the object. So instead of ein, you need to say einen. If the noun is feminine or neuter, it doesn't change. So for example, Kaffee is masculine. So you would need to say, ich möchte einen Kaffee. I'd like a coffee. You can add the word bitte at the end, but unlike in English, where the sentence without please sounds rude, it isn't in German, because ich möchte is already a polite request. You can also just say einen Kaffee bitte, just like we do in English, one coffee please. Or you could say eine Tasse Kaffee, especially if maybe you want more cups, so that would be zwei Tassen Kaffee. Just as an aside, if you are wondering about the writing on the cup, Osnabrück is a town in Germany and I was born not far from it. I found the cup actually in a charity shop. That's just an aside. So let me give you some other examples. Ich möchte einen Eiskaffee. Or in this case actually we had two. Zwei Eiskaffees. Ich möchte einen Tee. Or ich möchte eine Tasse Tee. The writing on this pot is Schüttorf, which is a town in Germany, in northern Germany, and that's where I come from. Ich möchte ein Kännchen Tee, which is a pot of tea. Ein Kännchen Tee. Ich möchte einen Orangensaft. Ich möchte einen Orangensaft. An orange juice. Ich möchte ein Mineralwasser. Ich möchte ein Mineralwasser. Or you may want a whole bottle. Eine Flasche Mineralwasser. Eine Flasche Mineralwasser. Ich möchte eine Cola. Or maybe you want a glass. Ein Glas Cola. Maybe you want something alcoholic. Ich möchte ein Glas Rotwein. Or maybe you want a bottle. Ich möchte eine Flasche Rotwein. Ich möchte ein Glas Weißwein. A glass of white wine. Ich möchte ein Bier. If you want a beer. If you're just asking for ein Bier, you get your standard sort of half a pint glass. If you rather have a big one, you would need to say ein großes Bier. A can is eine Dose. Eine Dose. A bottle, eine Flasche. Eine Flasche. A glass, ein Glas. Ein Glas. To recap all those phrases again. Ich möchte is I'd like. Ich möchte. Einen Kaffee, one coffee. Einen Kaffee. Einen Tee, one tea. Einen Tee. Zwei Tassen Kaffee. If you want 2 cups of coffee, or add any other number. Zwei Tassen Kaffee. Ein Kännchen Kaffee, or ein Kännchen Tee, if you want a pot of coffee or tea. Einen Eiskaffee, an iced coffee, einen Eiskaffee. Eine Cola, a Coke. Ein Mineralwasser, a mineral water. Einen Orangensaft, an orange juice. Rotwein, red wine. Weißwein, white wine. Ein Bier, a beer. Eine Flasche, a bottle. Ein Glas, a glass. Und eine Dose, a can. So now you can ask for a glass or a bottle of wine, a cup or a pot of coffee, a can, a bottle, or a glass of Coke. Today's task, write the new phrases into your notebook. Ignore any that you know you're never going to buy anyway. Add any other drinks you might want to ask for. Make sure again you get the correct gender. I'll give you one little tip. All alcoholic drinks are masculine except beer, which is das Bier. Practice those phrases that you most likely need in Germany. Send me a message or a tweet, but don't expect me to supply you with the drinks. Sorry about that. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 14. Today's lesson is almost identical to yesterday's, except we will order something to eat. Obviously, I don't know what you like eating, so I will just give you a few basic words or phrases and hope you will enjoy trying out all those wonderful names you may find on menu cards. So again, we're starting with Ich möchte. Ich möchte ein Stück Apfelkuchen. So ein Stück is a piece, and Apfel is apple, Kuchen is cake, so I'd like a piece of apple cake. Ich möchte ein Stück Apfelkuchen. Ich möchte ein Stück Schokoladentorte. By the way, I suggest if you haven't eaten yet, you pause the video, have something to eat first, otherwise you will be extremely hungry at the end of this. Ich möchte ein Stück Schokoladentorte. Ich möchte ein Eis. An ice cream. Ein Eis. Ich möchte eine Pizza. That's nice and easy. A pizza. Ich möchte eine Pizza. Ich möchte eine Pommes. That's a portion of chips. It comes actually from the French pommes frites, but most of the time we just say eine Pommes. Ich möchte eine Bratwurst, the one item of food the Germans are so famous for. The sausage. Ich möchte eine Bratwurst. Ich möchte einen Salat. Ich möchte einen Salat. A salad. Ich möchte ein Sandwich. Don't think you need to guess what that one is. A sandwich? Ich möchte ein Sandwich. So here are the phrases again. Again, as yesterday, ich möchte, I'd like. Ein Stück Kuchen, that's just generally a piece of cake. Ein Stück, and you may want to insert the type of cake, like we have ein Stück Apfelkuchen, a piece of apple cake. You could ask for ein Stück Käsekuchen, a piece of cheesecake. Ein Stück Schokoladentorte, a piece of chocolate gâteau. Ein Eis, an ice cream. Eine Pizza, eine Pommes, eine Bratwurst, einen Salat, ein Sandwich. So today's task, write the new phrases into your notebook, practice those phrases and add any other ones you know you will need, and as before, ignore any if you know you're definitely not going to eat it. Tell me your orders in a message or a tweet, but again, don't expect me to supply you with those meals either. I'll speak to you again tomorrow.
Welcome to day 15. Yesterday, I told you to use your dictionary to look up items you'd like to try and eat in Germany. Today, I'd like to ask you to look up some even more important words. Items you don't like to eat or, even more importantly, items you are allergic to. If, for instance, you don't like garlic, make sure you know that garlic is Knoblauch in German, so that you can avoid it. If, however, you are allergic to, say, nuts, it is important that you know that nuts are Nüsse. Now, any allergic things, if you need to say, I'm allergic to, you need the bit, ich bin allergisch gegen. Ich bin allergisch gegen, and then you add the word, whatever item it is that you are allergic to. So once you've found out what the German word is, make sure you know how to pronounce it by clicking on the listening button in Google Translate or any online dictionary that you are using. But if you just don't like something, you could also use kein plus whatever. Now, a little bit of grammar here. In English, of course, you're just saying no and then you add the word. As you've probably worked out by now, as we have 3 genders in German, masculine, feminine and neuter nouns, we also have 3 different words for no. So if you didn't like any spinach, which is a masculine noun or a der word, then you need keinen Spinat. If you don't like gravy, which is a feminine noun, then you say keine Soße. If you don't want any bread, which is neuter, kein Brot. If you don't want any meat, kein Fleisch. And if you don't want any nuts, not because you're allergic, just because you don't want them, then keine Nüsse will be enough. And if you find this keinen, keine, kein, or whatever it is too daunting, just say kein. You'll get away with it. So today's task, write down any items of food you don't like and definitely don't want to eat. Write down any word or any item that you are allergic to. Find out how to pronounce those words. Ask me on Twitter with a 30-day German hashtag added to your tweet. Use the contact form on my website or post it in the community section if you have any problems with the translation of anything you are allergic to. This is far too important to get wrong, so don't skip on this one. And I'll see you in the next lesson.
Welcome to day 16. Today we learn the numbers from 11 to 20. They are similar to the English numbers, except that for teen we use the word for 10, which is 10. If you can't remember how to say the numbers from 0 to 10, check day 9 or lecture 14 again, as you need them to carry on. So 11 is 11, 11, 12 is 12, 12, 13, 13, so it's literally like 3 and 10. 3 is 3, 10 is 10, so 13. 14 is 14, 14. 15, 5 and 10, 15, 15. 16, 16, 16. If you're wondering about the spelling, there is an S missing in the 6, but otherwise it is still 6 and 10, 16. Now for 17 there's a slight variation. 7 is 7, but 17 is 17, 17. 18, 18, 18. 19, 19, 19. And 20 is 20, 20. So today's task, write the new numbers in your notebook. Here they are again. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And practice saying those numbers, because tomorrow we're adding more to them. Welcome to day 17. Today we're going to have fun with those numbers from 21 to 100. Do you remember the nursery song, Sing a Song of Sixpence? Yes? Good, because there is a line, 4 and 20 blackbirds. Don't worry, I won't sing any further. And that's how we count in German, from 21 to 99. 21 is 21. Literally 1 and 20. 21. And I'll let you say it. 21. 22, therefore 2 and 20. 22. I repeat. 22. Your turn. 23, 23. I repeat, 23. And your turn. 24, 24. 24. You go. 25, 25. 25. Let's hear it from you. 26, 26. 26. And your turn. 27, 27. Now we've got the full word for sieben again, not like the short version when we had 17. 27. And you go. 28, 28. I repeat, 28. And I give you a chance to say it. 29, 29. 29. And your turn. 30 is 30. And if you look at the spelling, that's the only one that's got the SZ. So it's got SZIG at the end, whereas all the other ones have got ZIG. But if you notice the pattern, 30, 3 and then sich, so 30. 30. And 31 carries on with 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40. 40, 4 plus the sich, so 40, 40. 50, 50, 50. 60, which is 60, 60. All the numbers carry on with the same pattern, so 44 would be 44. Think of 4 and 40. 52 would be 52, 2 and 50. 65 would be 65, literally 5 and 60. And the last lot, 70 is 70. Here we've got the short version again, so not 70, but 70. 80, 80, 80. 90, 90, 90. And 100 is just the same as in English. Sometimes people say 100, sometimes people just say 100. It's either 100 or 100. So today's task, Write the new words into your notebook. Practice saying those numbers. Practice saying your telephone number in double digits. It doesn't really matter in which way you say them when somebody asks you for their number, but it is quite nice to practice them in double digits. And maybe whenever you spot a double-digit number now, say it in German. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 18. Now that you can count to 100 and give your telephone number in either single or double digits, whichever you prefer, there really is no rule, we will have a go at telling the time. As in English, there's a 12-hour clock and the 24-hour clock. The 12-hour clock is a bit complicated, but the 24-hour clock is easy, as long as you know your numbers. Officially, the Germans use the 24-hour clock. You find it on bus and train timetables, TV programs, and when people arrange business meetings. So that is the time we will look at. Basically, 7:30 reads as 7:30 Uhr. All you do is read the number for the hour, 7, add the word Uhr, where the colon is, and finish with the number for the minutes, 30. And that's it. You need to know how to say the numbers of the hours and minutes and add Uhr in between those two numbers. A few more examples. 13:20, 13:20 Uhr. 2000, 20 Uhr. There are no minutes, so you don't need to say anything. 012, 0:12. And the last example, 1945, 19:45 Uhr. If somebody asks you what the time is, or if you need to ask the question, there are actually two ways of saying it. Wie spät ist es? That literally actually means how late is it? But we would translate it as what's the time. So I'll repeat again. Wie spät ist es? And I'll let you have a go. Or sometimes people say, wie viel Uhr ist es? That's a bit like, how many hours is it? Again, we don't say that in English. So both of those sentences really mean, what's the time? I repeat that one. Wie viel Uhr ist es? And I'll let you have a go. Now it doesn't matter in the slightest which one you use. So if you want to memorize one, choose the one that you like best. I'm going to give you a few examples now, and I want to see whether you can hear what the time is. So are you ready to listen to the first one? Es ist 16 Uhr. Es ist 16 Uhr. There we are. Es ist 16 Uhr. It's 4 p.m. Es ist 12:39 Uhr. Es ist 12:39 Uhr. Did you get that one? It is 12:39, so nearly 20 minutes to 1 in the afternoon. One more. Es ist 5 Uhr. Es ist 5 Uhr. And that's 5 o'clock in the morning. 5 a.m. Es ist 5 Uhr. Another one for fun. Es ist 15:53 Uhr. Es ist 15:53 Uhr. There it is. 15:53. Es ist 15:53 Uhr. And one last one. Es ist 11:56 Uhr. Es ist 11:56 Uhr. There we are, 4 minutes before lunchtime. 11:56 Uhr. So today's task, make some notes about the 24-hour clock. Write down the one sentence that you want to remember to ask about what time it is, and practice saying the time. And I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Welcome to day 19. How did you get on with telling the time yesterday? Did you find it easy or hard? I can hear your answers now. It's easy to tell the time, but not so easy to understand when somebody says it. Am I right? That's normal and nothing to worry about. You'll find that with practice it does get easier. Anyway, today we'll continue with our number practice by checking out prices. First of all, if you want to find out how much something costs, there are more than one way to ask that question. We'll stick to one for simplicity. The easiest way to ask is just a general question. How much is that? Was kostet das? Was kostet is how much does something cost, and then you use das and point to it, and that's the easiest way to do it. Was kostet das? If you'd like to be a bit more specific, you can ask how much that particular item is. In that case, you just add the name of that item, including the gender. For example, if you want to know how much the wine is, you would say, Was kostet der Wein? For any other nouns, you will need der, die or das, just like we did when we asked where the building was. If you want to ask the price of more than one item, you say Was kosten die, which is how much are the, and in plural it's always die, so Was kosten die plus the plural word of the item. If you've got an idea of what you would like to buy in Germany, or if you're going to the trade fair and you need to know prices of certain things, it might be a good idea to check the dictionary for those words to start off with before you go, with a gender, so that you can practice how much those things cost. If you're using an online dictionary, most of them have got the pronunciation guide as well. If you're using a paper dictionary and you don't know how to pronounce the things, go to Google Translate. But don't type in the English bit first. I've just tried that, and there's a good chance that the translation may not be correct. Type in the German sentence, so was kostet, and then der, die, das, whatever you're asking for, and listen out for the pronunciation. The answer you'll get can vary as well, just like the question can, but most times you just hear the prices, or sometimes you also hear das kostet. If you're getting good at understanding double-digit numbers, I guess you may not buy anything that costs more than £100, or €100 in this case. You shouldn't have too many problems understanding the prices. And if you're struggling, make sure you can see the price on the till. The prices you may hear are just as in English, except it's euros. So if something costs €12.50, you may hear 12,50 €, or 12,50 €, or just 12,50. And just as an aside, German money is written with a comma between the euros and cents and not a full stop. And just to repeat again, the word for euro is Euro. Just think of Oi. I'm going to give you a few examples now for listening. See if you can work out what the prices are. Ready? Was kostet der Käse? Der Käse kostet 3,25 €. I'll repeat that one. Der Käse kostet 3,25 €. Was kostet der Käse? 3,25 €. Was kostet die Schokolade? Was kostet die Schokolade? Die Schokolade kostet 1,40 €. Die Schokolade kostet 1,40 €. Was kostet die Schokolade? 1,40 €. Was kostet das Brot? Das Brot kostet 2,65 €. Das Brot kostet 2,65 €. Was kostet das Brot? 2,65 €. And the last one. Was kosten die Tomaten? Die Tomaten kosten 1,79 €. Die Tomaten kosten 1,79 €. Was kosten die Tomaten? 1,79 €. You may just want to pause the video and get yourself a piece of paper and a pen, because I'm going to give you just 4 prices, but these are slightly bigger numbers. See if you can work out what they are. The first one is 12,36 €. And I repeat a bit slower. 12,36 €. The second one, 71,60 €. And I repeat, 71,60 €. The third one, 23,99 €. And I repeat, 23,99 €. And the last one, 42,17 €. And I repeat, 42,17 €. There we are. 12,36 €. Hopefully you've written down 12,36 €. 71,60 €. That was 71,60 €. 23,99 € was 23,99 €. And 42,17 € was 42,17 €. Well done if you've got them. Don't worry if you didn't quite get them. So today's task, write the new phrases and maybe some of your own into your notebook, especially if you're going to a trade fair and need to give prices for your goods. Make sure you've got them all before you go. Practice saying some prices. How about reading out the cost of your shopping list? Or grab a catalogue and ask and answer what certain items cost. I'll speak to you tomorrow.
If you see in this picture for the third time, then you know that this is part 3 of my 30-day challenge for absolute beginners of the German language. Part 3 covers the last 30 days, and we'll be looking at clothes shopping, well, and other things as well, colours, buying train tickets. We'll learn what to say when we're ill, if we need to go to the doctor or just a chemist. We'll learn how to book a hotel room, how to book a table at a restaurant, and saying goodbye. And we'll have a celebration again in the project where we can find out how much you remembered. Now you can do this course on its own, but if you want to do the whole challenge, you may want to go and have a look at part 1, which covers the most basic things, and part 2 as well, but it isn't essential. Part 3 on its own is just as fine. So if you fancy a 10-day quick German challenge, click on the enroll button, and I'll see you then.
As we spent a few lessons on numbers and money, we will go clothes shopping today. This may not be of interest to everybody, but the system of the sentences is the same, no matter what you might buy. So even if you are absolutely not interested in buying clothes, you can use those sentences to buy, I don't know, electric drills, cuckoo clocks, or whatever it is you like to buy. The only tricky bit is that you need to remember the 3 words for the, and then change them accordingly. I'll give you some sample sentences in a minute for words which are masculine, and remember it's the word, not the item. Feminine, neuter and plural. Once you know them, you can look up those items that you'd rather buy and choose the sentences that match the gender. For example, masculine words. For example, der Rock, the skirt. Could be der Bohrer, the drill. Okay, you've seen the sentences now. You realize some of these sentences are not useful for buying drills. But I like it, I'll take it, those still fit. So what do we have? Ich suche, which is I'm looking for. Ich suche einen Rock. I'm looking for a skirt. Ich suche einen Rock. I'll let you say it. Der Rock ist zu klein. The skirt is too small. Der Rock ist zu klein. And I'll let you say it. Er ist zu groß. It is too big. Er ist zu groß. And I'll let you say it. Now here I didn't use der Rock again, because just like in English, we wouldn't say the skirt is too big, the skirt is too this, the skirt is that. We would say it. The only difference in German, that it can still be he, she or it. Now er, if it's a person, means he, but if it's an item, a thing, then it means it. Er passt. We're lucky, it fits. Er passt. Or he may not fit. Er passt nicht. Er passt nicht. I like it. Er gefällt mir. And I say it again. Er gefällt mir. And I let you say it. And I take it. Ich nehme ihn. Ich nehme ihn. Let's try another one. Der Pullover, the jumper. Ich suche einen Pullover. Ich suche einen Pullover. And I let you say it. Der Pullover ist zu klein. Der Pullover ist zu klein. Maybe it's too big. Der Pullover ist zu groß. Der Pullover ist zu groß. Or I could say, er ist zu groß. Er passt. Or if it doesn't, er passt nicht. Er gefällt mir. You can possibly guess, if you wanted to say I don't like it, you add the word nicht. Er gefällt mir nicht. But if you do like it and you want to take it, ich nehme ihn. Ich nehme ihn. So without going into grammar explanations, you now know that if the item you are looking for has a masculine gender, you need to say einen if you're looking for a whatever. If you think that sounds familiar, check out day 13 again, when we did similar sentences with drinks. And remember though that the German word er can mean he if it's a male person, but it can also mean if it's a thing. A feminine noun, die Jacke. Ich suche eine Jacke. Ich suche eine Jacke. I'm looking for a jacket. Die Jacke ist zu klein. Die Jacke ist zu klein. Do you remember? Zu klein, too short, too small. Sie ist zu groß. Sie ist zu groß. So now I'm using sie for it because it's a feminine noun. Sie can also mean she if you're talking about a person. Sie passt. It fits. Sie passt. Or maybe sie passt nicht. Sie gefällt mir. I like it. Sie gefällt mir. Or sie gefällt mir nicht. Ich nehme sie. Ich nehme sie. I take it. Another feminine one. This is a bit tricky. Die Hose or die Jeans. Now, it's tricky because in German, trousers are singular, whereas in English, they are plural. So we are using the sentence, ich suche eine Hose. Now, in English, we wouldn't say, I'm looking for a trouser. So, ich suche eine Hose. And we've got the same sentences again. Die Hose ist zu klein. Sie ist zu groß. Sie passt. Sie gefällt mir. Ich nehme sie. As you can see, if you're looking for something that has a feminine gender, you need eine, and the it in this case is sie. Neuter nouns. Das T-Shirt, for example. Ich suche ein T-Shirt. Ich suche ein T-Shirt. Das T-Shirt ist zu groß. Das T-Shirt ist zu groß. Es ist zu klein. Es ist zu klein. Now, es is actually it, just like we have it in English as well. Es passt, or es passt nicht. Es gefällt mir, or es gefällt mir nicht. But if it does, you take it, ich nehme es. And another example, das Hemd, the shirt. And as you can see, the sentences are identical again. Ich suche ein Hemd. Das Hemd ist zu groß. Das Hemd ist zu klein. Es passt. Es gefällt mir. Ich nehme es. Plurals, the sentences aren't quite identical because we need for are and they. Ich suche Schuhe. I'm looking for some shoes. We don't need to translate this some. We're just saying I'm looking for shoes. Ich suche Schuhe. Plural everything is die, so die Schuhe, but now we need sind because they are. Die Schuhe sind zu groß. Sie sind zu klein if they're too small. Now the verb changes a bit as well. Sie passen if they fit. Sie passen nicht if they don't fit. Sie gefallen mir if you like them. Sie gefallen mir nicht if you don't like them. Ich nehme sie if you take them. A few other sentences. Wo ist die Kasse? Where is the till? If you are in a big department store, sometimes they're tricky to find. You can look out for the word Kasse, but if you need to ask, Wo ist die Kasse? I'll let you say it. Or you may want to ask, wo kann ich zahlen? Where can I pay? I repeat, wo kann ich zahlen? Wo kann ich die Kleider anprobieren? Where can I try these clothes? Wo kann ich die Kleider anprobieren? Gibt es eine Umkleidekabine? Is there a changing room? Gibt es eine Umkleidekabine? That was quite a few sentences today. I'm sorry this is a bit longer today. But today's task, write those sentences into your notebook. Feel free to change any items that you will definitely not buy into things you might buy. Practice saying those sentences. Maybe use a catalogue and choose some items. And also, if you are buying clothes or thinking of buying clothes, find out if the clothes and shoe sizes are different in Germany to your country. You save yourself a lot of hassle if you find out before you go. There are lots of websites to tell you. Have fun practicing. Welcome to day 22. Yesterday you learned lots of phrases to use when buying clothes, but you may want to say that you are looking for a blue shirt or grey trousers. So here are some colours. Rot, red, rot. Gelb, yellow, gelb. Grün, green, grün. Schwarz, black, schwarz. Weiß, white, weiß. Blau, blue, blau. Grau, grey, grau. Lila, purple, lila. Rosa, pink, rosa. They also use pink quite a lot now. Braun, brown, braun. Orange, orange, orange. If you wanted to state that something is a colour, then the sentence is easy and the word for that colour is just like you've learned it. So for example, der Rock ist blau. The skirt is blue. Die Jacke ist rot. The jacket is red. Das Hemd ist weiß. The shirt is white. Die Schuhe sind schwarz. The shoes are black. It gets more complicated when you want to say that, for example, you're looking for a white shirt. The ending of the adjective changes depending on the gender, and actually in other sentences it can change even more. It would take a lot of practice and revision to really understand all the different endings, not something we can cover in a few minutes a day. But I will make another course just for gender endings and adjective endings and things like this. I'll still give you the sentences for I'm looking for a coloured item so that you're aware of them. If you do find them easy, go ahead and use them. Alternatively, it might just be enough to understand what somebody else is saying. If you know your colours, you will hopefully hear them within the words, even with different endings. So here it goes. Ich suche einen blauen Rock. So I'm looking for a blue skirt. Now we've already had einen with the en, and you've noticed that the colour now adds an en as well. And that would go for any other colour. If you're looking for a red skirt, it would be Ich suche einen roten Rock. A red jacket, now that was the feminine sentence. Ich suche eine rote Jacke. We've already had eine for feminine words. Now we're adding an e to the colour. Ich suche eine rote Jacke. If you're looking for a white shirt, there's your neuter word. Ich suche ein weißes Hemd. Ein, no other ending, but the color now has an es. Or any other adjective gets an es ending. Ich suche ein weißes Hemd. And if you're looking for black shoes, ich suche schwarze Schuhe. Again, there is an e ending on the color. Today's task, write the colors and new sentences into your notebook. Practice the sentences. Don't panic. If these different adjective endings confuse you when in Germany, be rest assured that if you were to say, for example, ich suche ein Blaurock, instead of the correct, ich suche einen blauen Rock, they will understand you anyway, because most of the times people will only listen out, in this case, for the two important keywords, blau and rock, and you will get what you're looking for. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 23. Once in Germany, you may wish to take the train to a different town. Here are some useful sentences to inquire about trains. Wann fährt der nächste Zug nach Berlin? When does the next train go to Berlin? I'll say it a bit slower. Wann fährt der nächste Zug nach Berlin? And again at normal speed. Wann fährt der nächste Zug nach Berlin? Have a go saying it. Wann kommt der Zug in Berlin an? When does the train arrive in Berlin? Wann kommt der Zug in Berlin an? Wann kommt der Zug in Berlin an? And your turn. Muss ich umsteigen? Do I have to change trains? Muss ich umsteigen? Muss ich umsteigen? You ask. Muss ich Zuschlag zahlen? Do I have to pay a supplement? Which you have to do on most of the fast trains. Muss ich Zuschlag zahlen? Muss ich Zuschlag zahlen? And you go. Kann ich einen Platz reservieren? Can I reserve a seat? Kann ich einen Platz reservieren? Kann ich einen Platz reservieren? And you have a go. Von welchem Gleis fährt der Zug? Now that question would be, from which platform does the train leave? Quite a mouthful. Easier would be welches Gleis, which is just which platform. You choose which one you want to learn. I'll read them both to you again. Von welchem Gleis fährt der Zug? Von welchem Gleis fährt der Zug? Have a go at the long one. Welches Gleis? Welches Gleis? Have a go at the short one as well. If you then want to buy a ticket, there are again several ways of asking it, the question, but there is one easy way of doing it. You just say the number of tickets, then comes the return or single, and the destination. For the number of tickets, all you need to say is 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, or whichever amount of tickets you need, depending on how big your group is. Einmal, which is 1 times, zweimal, dreimal. You can see the pattern. If you need 4 tickets, viermal. Einfach is a single ticket. Hin und zurück is a return ticket. Literally means there and back. Einfach, hin und zurück. And the last bit in the sentence, nach, and then the name of the town. So an example, einmal hin und zurück nach Köln. You would say that if you wanted one return ticket to Cologne. And that's the pattern. If you wanted 2 single tickets to Berlin, zweimal einfach nach Berlin. Listen to the conversation and find out what the customer wants to know and what the reply is. Don't worry if you don't understand it straight away. Listen as many times as you need to, but this time I will only read it once. So if you want to hear it again, you need to rewind it. Wann fährt der nächste Zug nach Passau? Um 10 Uhr. Wann kommt der Zug in Passau an? Um 22:30 Uhr. Muss ich umsteigen? Ja, in Hannover. Muss ich Zuschlag zahlen? Ja, 10 Euro. Kann ich einen Platz reservieren? Ja, das können Sie. Gut. Zweimal hin und zurück nach Passau, bitte. Das macht 325 Euro. Von welchem Gleis fährt der Zug? Von Gleis 3. Do rewind it and listen to it as many times as you like. When you think you've got the answers, carry on, because I'll give you the transcript now. And there we are. This was the conversation. Wann fährt der nächste Zug nach Passau? Um 10 Uhr. Wann kommt der Zug in Passau an? Um 22:30 Uhr. Muss ich umsteigen? Ja, in Hannover. Muss ich Zuschlag zahlen? Ja, 10 Euro. Kann ich einen Platz reservieren? Ja, das können Sie. Gut, zweimal hin und zurück nach Passau, bitte. Das macht 325 Euro. Von welchem Gleis fährt der Zug? Von Gleis 3. Well done if you got that. So today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook. If you have to, change them appropriately, if you know you'll be using the train but you're not going to Berlin, and practice saying them. It's also worth knowing that the einmal, zweimal, dreimal, if you wanted to buy the tickets, that also works if you're buying a bus ticket. And it also works if you're standing in the queue to buy cinema tickets or theatre tickets or museum tickets. Or you would have to say at the booth, dreimal bitte, if you wanted 3 tickets, zweimal bitte. So have a think in advance if you know any of these things and write the sentences down like you will need them. If not, just practice them as they are. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 24. Hopefully you'll never need today's topic, but just in case, let's look at some body parts and some illnesses. Let's have the body parts first, and I've sorted them according to gender. So this list here, they are all masculine, which means the word is all masculine and they're all der. I will read each word twice and then stop for a break to let you have a go as well. Okay, here it goes. Der Kopf, head, Kopf. Mund, mouth, Mund. Bauch, stomach, Bauch. Fuß, foot, Fuß. Finger, finger, finger. Hals, which can be the throat, but it can also be the neck. Hals. Rücken, back, Rücken. Arm, which is your arm, Arm. Zahn, tooth, Zahn. A few which are feminine noun, which is die Nase, the nose, Nase. Lippe, which is the lip, Lippe. Hand, your hand, hand. And some neuter ones. Das Ohr, your ear, Ohr. Bein, leg, Bein. Knie, knee, Knie. Gesicht, face, Gesicht. Auge, eye, Auge. To say that something hurts, you've got two ways, and they're almost identical to English. You can either say, ich habe, and then leave a gap, Schmerzen, when you would say it in English, like, I've got a something ache. Or you could say something hurts, which would be tut weh. So if you've got a headache, you could say, ich habe Kopfschmerzen. I repeat that one. Ich habe Kopfschmerzen. And give you time to say it. Or you could say, mein Kopf tut weh, which is my head hurts. Mein Kopf tut weh. Another example. Ich habe Bauchschmerzen. I have a stomach ache. Ich habe Bauchschmerzen. Or you could say, mein Bauch tut weh. My stomach hurts. Mein Bauch tut weh. Ich habe Halsschmerzen. I have a sore throat. Ich habe Halsschmerzen. Or you could say, mein Hals tut weh. My throat hurts. Mein Hals tut weh. Ich habe Rückenschmerzen. I have a backache. Ich habe Rückenschmerzen. Or you can say, mein Rücken tut weh. My back hurts. Mein Rücken tut weh. Ich habe Zahnschmerzen. I have a toothache. Ich habe Zahnschmerzen. Mein Zahn tut weh. My tooth hurts. Mein Zahn tut weh. Ich habe Ohrenschmerzen. I have an earache. Ich habe Ohrenschmerzen. Or you can say, mein Ohr tut weh. Mein Ohr tut weh. Now if your arm hurts, just like in English, you wouldn't say, I have an arm ache. We would say, my arm hurts. And that's exactly the same as in German. Mein Arm tut weh. Mein Arm tut weh. Now if you're unfortunate and both arms hurt, then you will need the plural version, and that would be meine Arme, because that's my arms, tun weh. So it's not tut weh anymore, it's tun weh, and that's what you would need for anything in plural. Meine Arme tun weh. Mein Knie tut weh, if it's just a one. Mein Knie tut weh. Or meine Knie tun weh, if both of them hurt. Meine Knie, or sometimes people say Knie as well, tun weh. And the last example, mein Auge tut weh. My eye hurts. Mein Auge tut weh. And if both of them heard, meine Augen tun weh. Meine Augen tun weh. If you find the tut weh sentences easier, you can use them instead of ich habe whatever Schmerzen. It's entirely your choice whether you want to say ich habe Kopfschmerzen or you want to say mein Kopf tut weh. Now ideally, of course, you don't want to say any of them, but if you have to, at least now you are prepared. So today's task: write the new words and sentences into your notebook, practice saying them, especially if there's something you suffer a lot and you know you may need those sentences. Like I said, I really do hope you never need any of them, but just to be on the safe side, we will add a few more sentences tomorrow. Welcome to day 25. Today is a little follow-up to yesterday's lesson. Most times you don't need to see a doctor, and a visit to the chemist is enough. I hope you remember the word die Apotheke for the chemist. One basic sentence is hopefully all you need. I need is ich brauche. And then you need the word for against, which is gegen. In German we don't need medication for something, we want it against something. The English for has always amused me. Why would I want something for a headache if I like to get rid of it? But anyway, these are some of the sentences you may need. Ich brauche etwas gegen Kopfschmerzen. I need something for a headache. So you've got the phrase, ich brauche etwas gegen, and then you just add the word Kopfschmerzen. Ich brauche etwas gegen Kopfschmerzen. And I let you say it. Ich brauche etwas gegen Grippe. Ich brauche etwas gegen Grippe. And I let you say it. Ich brauche etwas gegen Schnupfen, which is a runny nose. Ich brauche etwas gegen Schnupfen. Ich brauche etwas gegen Heuschnupfen, which is hay fever. Ich brauche etwas gegen Heuschnupfen. Ich brauche etwas gegen Durchfall. I need something for diarrhea. Ich brauche etwas gegen Durchfall. That incidentally is one of my favorite German words. One reason is I never know how to spell diarrhea. I actually had to look that one up. And the second reason is because it's actually so literal in German. Durch can mean through and fall is to fall. Okay, I'll move on. You may need to ask for a doctor. Ich brauche einen Arzt. Ich brauche einen Arzt. Ich brauche einen Zahnarzt. Ich brauche einen Zahnarzt, if you need a dentist. Just in case there's been an accident, you may need to ask somebody to call the police or emergency services. Rufen Sie bitte einen Krankenwagen. Please call an ambulance. Rufen Sie bitte einen Krankenwagen. Rufen Sie bitte die Polizei. Please call the police. Rufen Sie bitte die Polizei. If you can't remember the whole sentences, and I guess in an emergency everything you've learned has probably disappeared, the keywords Polizei and Krankenwagen will do. And actually, even those Germans who don't speak English will probably know what police or ambulance mean anyway. And by the way, the emergency phone numbers in Germany are 110 for the police and 112 for emergency services. But I do hope you never need them. So here are the sentences again, and I read them at normal speed this time. Ich brauche etwas gegen Kopfschmerzen. Ich brauche etwas gegen Grippe. Ich brauche etwas gegen Schnupfen. Ich brauche etwas gegen Durchfall. And I've missed out. Ich brauche etwas gegen Heuschnupfen. Ich brauche einen Arzt. Ich brauche einen Zahnarzt. Rufen Sie bitte einen Krankenwagen. Rufen Sie bitte die Polizei. And I've just added the two emergency numbers again as well. So today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook. Practice saying them, especially if there's something that you suffer a lot and you know you may need to buy something for it. Ask me if there's something that I haven't mentioned, but you need to know the sentence and you don't know how to say it. And I'll speak to you again tomorrow. Welcome to day 26. We're nearly done, so for the last few days you will just learn a few more holiday-related phrases. And today they're all about hotels. I'm assuming that you will book your hotel room online, but in case you're driving around Germany and find a hotel where you'd like to check in, you need to find out if they have any rooms available. So you may ask, haben Sie ein Zimmer frei? Haben Sie ein Zimmer frei? Which is, do you have a room, or literally actually, do you have a room free? The plural would also be Zimmer, so if you wanted to ask for more than one room, you just change the ein with the appropriate number. So haben Sie 2 Zimmer frei? Haben Sie 4 Zimmer frei? Whichever ones you want. You may want to add straight away for how many nights. Haben Sie ein Zimmer für eine Nacht? Haben Sie ein Zimmer für eine Nacht? That would be for one night. If you want it for more than one night, haben Sie ein Zimmer für 2 Nächte? So the plural is Nächte. And again, you just change the 2 with the amount of nights you want to stay. Haben Sie ein Zimmer für 5 Nächte? Maybe. To avoid them asking whether it's a single or double room, you may as well add that to your sentence as well. The more you can put in already, the less they will have to ask. Haben Sie ein Einzelzimmer für 3 Nächte? So do you have a single room for 3 nights? Haben Sie ein Einzelzimmer für 3 Nächte? Haben Sie ein Doppelzimmer für 3 Nächte? Or, as I've written down here, haben Sie ein Doppelzimmer für eine Nacht? Maybe you just want a double room for one night. So you can swap and change them around now. Einzelzimmer, Doppelzimmer, Einzimmer, Zweizimmer, Dreizimmer, eine Nacht, 2 Nächte, 3 Nächte, whichever combination you need. The word for room number is Zimmernummer. It looks weird like this, doesn't it? But Germans do put compound nouns all together as one word. So meine Zimmernummer ist, if it's just you on your own, my room number is ... whatever the number is, or unsere Zimmernummer if it's more than one person. So if you're eating a meal in the hotel restaurant, for example, and you would like it to be charged to your room, you can say, bitte setzen Sie das auf unsere Zimmernummer. That would be, please charge it to our room number. Bitte setzen Sie das auf unsere Zimmernummer. And if you're on your own, bitte setzen Sie das auf meine Zimmernummer. And they most likely ask you which one it is, and then you would say, meine Zimmernummer ist, whatever the number. If you like to check out, wir möchten auschecken, or ich möchte auschecken. You notice possibly a little bit of grammar here, that the verb is different each time, whether we're saying we we're saying wir möchten, and if you're saying I, we're saying ich möchte. For the time being, I'd just like you to learn it as a phrase. If you are interested more in the grammar, watch out for when I do the grammar courses, and I will explain everything in a lot more detail. Kann ich mit Kreditkarte zahlen? Can I pay by credit card? Kann ich mit Kreditkarte zahlen? When you're leaving, you may need a taxi. Rufen Sie mir bitte ein Taxi. Rufen Sie mir bitte ein Taxi. Or if it's two of you or even more, rufen Sie uns bitte ein Taxi. Rufen Sie uns bitte ein Taxi. And the last phrase for today, which is actually very useful in lots of situations, not just in the hotel. Können Sie mir helfen? Can you help me? Können Sie mir helfen? So to recap all the phrases again. Haben Sie ein Zimmer frei? Or you add the amount of nights. Haben Sie ein Zimmer für eine Nacht? Or für whatever, Nächte? Haben Sie ein Einzelzimmer? Or haben Sie ein Doppelzimmer für eine Nacht? Meine Zimmernummer ist, unsere Zimmernummer ist. Ich möchte auschecken, oder wir möchten auschecken. Kann ich mit Kreditkarte zahlen? Rufen Sie mir bitte ein Taxi? Oder rufen Sie uns bitte ein Taxi? Können Sie mir helfen? So today's task, write the new sentences into your notebook and practice saying them. Just think, only 4 more days and the 30 days are up. I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 27. Today we will be in a restaurant to eat a lovely meal. Oh, no, only in our imagination. But just think of how wonderful it will be when you're in Germany for real. So here are some phrases you may need in the restaurant. Ein Tisch für 2 Personen. Table for 2. Ein Tisch für 2 Personen, bitte. You could even put the bitte there. Ein Tisch für eine Person, if you're just on your own. Ein Tisch für eine Person. If you want the menu, you can say die Speisekarte bitte. Die Speisekarte bitte. If you're really brave and you want to say the whole sentence, like I'd like the menu please, you could say ich hätte gern die Speisekarte. But die Speisekarte bitte will do. Ich möchte bestellen. Ich möchte bestellen. I'd like to order. Possible orders, if you want a starter, which is die Vorspeise, you start your sentence with als Vorspeise nehme ich, and then we add something. For your main meal, als Hauptspeise nehme ich, als Hauptspeise nehme ich, and the dessert, als Nachspeise nehme ich, als Nachspeise nehme ich. Now we do need a little bit of grammar again. Do you remember when we asked for something to drink? If you don't, check out day 13 again. Now the same applies to these sentences here, except that we don't want to say a, we want to say the, like, oh, I'll take the fish, or I'll take the roast beef, or whatever it may be. So where we learn to say einen with masculine nouns in day 13, we now say den with masculine nouns, and we say die with feminine and das with neuter nouns. So possible sentences could be, als Vorspeise nehme ich die Tagessuppe. Als Hauptspeise nehme ich den Fisch. Oh, als Hauptspeise nehme ich die Pizza. Oh, als Hauptspeise nehme ich das Hähnchen, which is chicken. Als Nachspeise nehme ich das Eis, because I want an ice cream. Now, if you know what type of meal you'd like to try, you can look up the gender beforehand. But if you don't want to mess about with a dictionary while the waiter or the waitress is waiting for your order, just add the name of the meal without any gender. Or mumble the gender. But remember, I didn't tell you that, okay? When you want your bill, you say die Rechnung bitte. Die Rechnung bitte. If you want to leave a tip, for example, if the bill came to 38 euros and you want to give 40, just give the money and say stimmt so. And then they just take the 40. Stimmt so is sort of meaning of it's okay like this. If the bill came to 32 and you'd like to give 35 euros, but you have 40, then you say 35 Euro, das stimmt so. And you get 5 euros back. One little bit of information. Yesterday you learned how to ask if you can pay with credit card. Now, depending on whether you are in a big city or a small town, you may not be able to pay with card. There are still a lot of places which don't accept card payments, only cash or checks. And as foreign visitors in Germany, you wouldn't have a German checkbook, which just leaves cash. Things are getting better and you may not have any problems, but just be aware, the smaller the town, the bigger the chance of a Nein answer to your question. So to recap all the phrases again: ein Tisch für 2 Personen, or ein Tisch für eine Person. Die Speisekarte bitte. Ich hätte gerne die Speisekarte. Ich möchte bestellen. Als Vorspeise nehme ich den or die or das, whatever nice item of food you want to eat. Als Hauptspeise nehme ich. Als Nachspeise nehme ich. Und zu trinken möchte ich einen Kaffee, einen Wodka, or eine, or ein. Again, check day 13 if you can't remember the drinks. After the meal, die Rechnung bitte. A possible stimmt so if you wanted to leave a tip. And bitte. Now, you may have noticed that Germans often use the word bitte when they don't actually mean please. And that's because bitte also means you're welcome, or there you are. So if you say danke or dankeschön when you thank somebody for either a service or for passing you something, they will say bitte or bitteschön. So today's task: write the new sentences into your notebook, practice saying them, and look forward to enjoying those lovely bits of food. And I'll speak to you tomorrow. Welcome to day 28. You have almost completed the 30-day challenge. How exciting is that? When you started in day 1 with the greetings, you may have wondered why there were only greetings and no goodbyes. That's because I didn't want you to say goodbye on day 1. Nope, I wanted you to stay the whole course. But I let you have them today. Basically, there are 2 ways of saying goodbye. Auf Wiedersehen, auf Wiedersehen, and it's pronounced almost as if there wasn't an E at the end. Auf Wiedersehen. Or you say Tschüss. Tschüss. Now, most textbooks tell you that Auf Wiedersehen is used when you don't know people and Tschüss with friends. Now, this has gradually changed. Most people now use Tschüss, even if they don't know each other. Although I would possibly shy away from it when you're in a business situation. Stick to the formal Auf Wiedersehen then. If you are using Tschüss, you may just want to add a little bit more, like Tschüss bis später. See you later. Tschüss bis später. Tschüss bis bald. See you soon. Tschüss bis bald. Tschüss bis morgen. See you tomorrow. Tschüss bis morgen. Tschüss bis Mittwoch. See you Wednesday. If you've forgotten the days of the week, go and check day 8 again. Tschüss bis Mittwoch. Tschüss bis nächste Woche. See you next week. Tschüss bis nächste Woche. late at night, you can say Gute Nacht. Good night. Gute Nacht. And if you want to keep it formal, you want to use Auf Wiedersehen or just Wiedersehen, which literally means until I see you again. Therefore, if you need to say it on the phone, you don't say Auf Wiedersehen, you say Auf Wiederhören, which is literally until I hear you again. Auf Wiederhören. So today's task, write the new phrases into your notebook, practice saying goodbye, and say goodbye to me. No, not yet. You can do that in 2 days. Tschüss, bis morgen.
Welcome to day 30. And no, you haven't misread or misheard it. It does say day 30. And no, you haven't missed a video either, because the last video did say day 28. That's because day 29 was your project. Well, I should say is your project. If you have a look at the project, you'll find another set of questions for you to answer to see how much you remember from the last 8 days, so day 21 to 28, and hopefully to celebrate that you've managed to remember a lot. So day 30 is another type of celebration. And day 30 is actually really day 30 plus 7 plus 14, i.e. plus a week or so. Because what I would like you to do is take a break, not necessarily from learning German, but take a break from this course. And then come back, maybe in a week or a couple of days, whenever you feel like it, and then test yourself again and see if you still remembered what you've learned. I have also added to the project 2 PDFs with the questions from part 1 of this course and part 2, so the first 10 days and the second 10 days, so that you can test yourself on those as well. And if you find, especially part 1 for example, because that was the very basic stuff, if you find, oh, I can answer all those questions, then you either have done the course or you don't need it. And the same is for part 2. If you've done the course, it would be good to see how much you still remember after a few weeks. If you haven't done the course and you can answer all the questions, then again, you don't need it. If you look at the question and you think, oh, I haven't got a clue what these mean, then maybe you want to go back and have a look at part 2 as well. Either way, this is the end of the beginner's course of German, and it's definitely time to celebrate. It's time to celebrate that you've actually watched all the videos. I'm hoping you've enjoyed them. I'm hoping you look as cheerful as the people on the picture and you're going, yay! And hopefully not just because, yay, the course is finally finished, but yay, I know some German. If that's the feeling you have, I would love it if you would give this course the thumbs up. You can leave a comment as well, but you don't have to. Just a thumbs up is above the videos would be nice. And don't forget to do the project. And let me know. I don't mean write the answers down for everybody to see them, but maybe just saying, I got all the questions right, or nearly all of them. I enjoyed answering the questions. Can we do something else? Anything you would like to say. But most importantly, celebrate. Have fun. And have a think what else you want to learn in German next. It's bye for now. Pretty early in the 30-day challenge, I told you that there are two ways of saying you in German, the formal Sie and the informal Du, and that in the challenge I would only teach you how to use questions with Sie, because if this is your first visit and you're going on holidays, you would only talk to strangers who you wouldn't know, so you would need to use the formal you, and the same applies to business. Since then, I found out that more and more people are also going to Germany because they've acquired family or friends there. And for family, obviously, if it's your family anyway, you wouldn't use the formal Sie. But even if it's a new family, because a member of your family has married into a German family, you probably would still need the Sie to start off with, but then you would want to use the formal you. So rather than ruining the 30-day challenge, as I said before, I am going to cover this a little bit now, and the next two videos will tell you a bit more about Du or Sie. The next video is actually a video which shows you when to use Du and when to use Sie. And in the video afterwards, I've gone through the 30-day challenge and found all the questions that you have learned, which are all with a formal you, and I've then changed them to the informal you so that you know what the other alternative is. I'll see you in the next video. Meet Jane. Jane has to go to Germany for a business meeting. But she doesn't know when to say Du or Sie when talking to people, and she doesn't want to offend anybody. Here are 5 tips that will tell her, and you, when to use Sie or Du. Number 1. Prospective clients. You don't know them, but you want their business, so use the formal Sie. Number 2. At a trade fair. Every person coming to your stand could become your new client or supplier, so use Sie. Number 3. At a job interview. If you want that job in Germany, do not use your interviewer's first name and Du. Treat them with respect and address them as Herr or Frau plus the surname and use Sie. Number 4. Adults you don't know, especially people in authority like doctors, lawyers, teachers, police officers, but also shop assistants, hotel receptionists, waiters, basically any adult you don't know or you don't know well, unless they tell you to use first name and Du. Number 5. You can use Du when you talk to children, family members or animals, if you want to talk to them. But if you're only there for a short time, you most likely won't get the chance to talk to children, you won't have family members there, and you probably don't want to talk to animals either. Basically, if you're in Germany for only a short time, and if in doubt, use Sie. It is far better to be formal, and for the German then to tell you to be less formal, if that's what they want, than to address the other person with their first name when they are used to be called Mr. or Mrs. It could be the difference between getting that job or contract or not. So what happened to Jane? Jane went to Germany, addressed all prospective clients with Sie, spoke German with them and secured that business deal. Well done, Jane. So the biggest reminder again is, if in doubt, use Sie. It is always easier to go from the formal to the informal than the other way round. So don't put your foot in it. If in doubt, go for the formal you. But let's assume you're quite friendly with people now, because you haven't just been on a 2-week holiday. You've been there for a while, you know them quite well, When do you decide to go from the du to sie? Or who decides? In business, it's the higher rank. So, if at all, the line manager may do it to the worker, may suggest it to the worker. The boss may suggest it to people who work for him. It is never the other way round. You would never suggest to use the formal you when you're talking to your boss. Privately, etiquette-wise, it always was the older person. Again, it shows the respect. Having said all this, it is actually quite tricky in Germany, and I have to admit even I sometimes struggle because I'm so used to being informal and using first names in the UK that it is getting difficult for me as well. And this whole thing, the older person, yes, it works, it doesn't work. Play it by ear, yeah, and don't feel that you can't be the one to suggest to go to the informal you just because the other person is a few years older than you. But you should get the feeling whether these people are very formal and insist on first name, surname, or whether they are quite informal. What could you say? I've given you a few examples here. There are probably loads more ways of saying it, but say for instance you have been using the formal you with somebody and you really want to go over to the informal you could say, können wir du sagen? Which is just, can we say du? Yeah? Können wir du sagen? Now there is actually a verb for it. It doesn't exist in English because in English we don't have that problem. But to say du in German is duzen. So you could also say, können wir uns duzen? Giving the other person still the chance to say nein, if they really didn't want to. Sagen Sie du zu mir? Now you're still being formal, but you're telling the other person that they can say du to you, and then hopefully they will suggest the same. Or sag du zu mir. That you could say, for example, to a child. If a child is being very polite and addresses you as Mr. or Mrs. and you find all this too much, then you would say sag du zu mir. Or a bit more informal, wir duzen uns, yeah? Sort of meaning of, we say du, shall we? Now we're coming to the questions that you've actually seen in the challenge. And the first one that you've learned was, wie ist Ihr Name? And the second one was, wie heißen Sie? Both meant, what's your name? What are you called? So if you're now asking a child, you wouldn't say, wie ist Ihr Name? You would say, wie ist dein Name? Still means, what's your name? And instead of saying, wie heißen Sie, you would say, wie heißt du? Woher kommen Sie? This is good revision now. Do you remember what it means? Where do you come from? Woher kommst du? And wo wohnen Sie? Do you remember that one? Where do you live? Which is, wo wohnst du? Now the answer would still be the same. If you're saying you come from England, then you're still saying ich komme aus England, whether somebody's using the formal you or the informal one. Slight difference with the name. If you remember, if somebody said to you, wie ist Ihr Name or wie heißen Sie, I suggested that you always reply with first name, surname. So if somebody said to me, wie heißen Sie, I would reply, ich heiße Angelika Davy. But if they said, wie heißt du, I probably wouldn't bother with my surname and just saying, ich heiße Angelika. Some more things we had. Sprechen Sie Englisch? Or sprechen Sie whichever other language you want to know. If you're asking a child that, sprichst du Englisch? Entschuldigen Sie bitte. Now we also had the alternative of saying Entschuldigung, but the informal way for Entschuldigen Sie bitte is just Entschuldige bitte. You don't need the Sie. You only need that if you do have sort of commands with the formal U, the same as the next two. This was for directions. Do you remember? Go straight on, go left, go right. Gehen Sie geradeaus. Or if you wanted to drive, or they driving, fahren Sie geradeaus. So if you're now saying that to a child, then it would be geh geradeaus. Now you probably wouldn't use the fahren Sie with a child, but you may need to give directions to a good friend. So that would be fahr. Fahr geradeaus, fahr links, fahr rechts. And then we had a few more phrases like rufen Sie bitte einen Krankenwagen or rufen Sie bitte die Polizei. Those were the two phrases we had. And they would just be ruf or rufe, you can use either, bitte einen Krankenwagen or ruf bitte die Polizei. So if you're asking somebody informally to call for somebody, it would just be ruf or rufe. Now, haben Sie ein Zimmer frei was one of the questions in the 30-day challenge. It is highly unlikely that you would ever need that in the informal you, because that question you're really asking in a hotel, and you wouldn't know those people unless you've been going there for donkey's years and you know them and you're on first name terms and you want to know, do you have a room free? But haben Sie, do you have, is quite a useful part of a phrase or a question, and that would be hast du. So that applies to any question. If you wanted to ask somebody, do you have blah blah blah, that would be haben Sie if you're asking formally, or hast du if you're asking informally. And the last question you learned was können Sie mir helfen? Can you help me? And that would be kannst du mir helfen? So that now has given you a bit of an idea how to use the informal you, not the formal you, the informal you instead of the formal you. There is, of course, a lot more. For that, you might want to have a look at my present tense videos, where you learn how to conjugate verbs in the present tense, in all the forms, not just the formal you and the informal you. But for the time being, this is all you need. Let's spend a few minutes looking at some swear words, Schimpfwörter. And before you get excited or annoyed, things like the F word or any other real big swear words, I will not teach you. If you really need to know them, look them up in the dictionary. No, there are two words I wanted to show you because the meaning is not quite as it is in English. And the first one is Scheiße. Now, if you look that up in the dictionary, you find the translation is shit. There, I said it. I hope not to say it again. But Scheiße is actually not quite so bad. If I want to compare it, if I, in an English school as a teacher, said shit in front of the pupils, and another adult heard it or somebody complained, I would be in big trouble. And quite rightly, because it's not the word to say. But in German, it's more common. It's not quite as bad as the English word. And you hear teachers saying it, you hear politicians saying it, you hear everybody using it. So be aware of that. It doesn't mean you have to say it. If you don't want to, that's fine. But if you do hear it, it is not quite as bad as it is in English. And the other one is an interesting word. Der shitstorm. Angela Merkel has said it. More than once. First time she said it, English newspapers were up in arms. German politician is using a huge vulgar swear word. How could she? Problem is, in German, a shitstorm, and that actually is a proper word in the dictionary, hence the gender as well, der. It means it's a storm of outrage. Whereas in English, it's a situation marked by violent controversy. And most Germans don't even realize that in English this word is quite vulgar. So again, if you do hear it, be aware that in German it means something slightly different. Problem is, as it's an English word, it's difficult to distinguish. And as we're talking about being polite, now this is a little bit not so much for if you go into Germany, it's more when Germans come to England or an English-speaking country, or possibly even other countries. I can't really speak for that. It would be interesting to know. But quite often, or sometimes, maybe not that often, they don't use the word please when they're asking for something. And that comes across as being rude. And I often heard this, oh, these Germans, they're all so bloody rude, you know, they never say please, they just tell us what to do. Well, yes, some maybe. There are rude Germans just as there are rude other nationalities. But often it is also the case of lost in translation. See, German requests are often made so that they're actually so polite they don't require the word please. Otherwise you've got a bit too much in there. It would be something like as if I said, please could I have a cup of coffee please? Now I wouldn't ask twice, I wouldn't put the word please in there twice, I would use it once. Could I have a cup of coffee please? Or please could I have a cup of coffee? So German sentences, when they don't need the word bitte, and a German person isn't that fluent in English, or they don't spend much time in England, I guess it's the same in America, they then don't translate, or they don't add the word please in their English sentence either. Even I got caught out once. I must have been doing some German lesson planning or a translation, I don't know, but I was in German mode and it was pretty warm. And I said to my then 10-year-old daughter, could you open the window? And she looked at me and she said, please would be nice. Quite rightly. I mean, that's what I normally would have said to her. And I thought, what did I say? And it's then that I realised that I didn't say please because I was in German mode, and in German I would have just said, kannst du mal das Fenster aufmachen? And that's a polite request. I wouldn't need a bitte. I could have put a bitte in there, but I wouldn't need it. So it's just something to bear in mind. If you come across a apparently rude German, it is possible that they were just literally translating their sentences from German into English and therefore don't know the please. So please have a bit of patience with them. In the 30-day challenge, I mentioned how important it is to know any food that you are allergic to, because obviously you can't eat it, and how to say that. And this is really a follow-up, because these are some words to look out for if you have any special dietary requirements. I'm only mentioning a few. When I did the research, I realized there are hundreds of different things, and I can't cover them all. So if there is a special dietary requirement that I don't mention, and you can't work it out for yourself, but it is important that you know, then please get in contact and I'll try and find out for you. But the most obvious one, what do you say if you're a vegetarian? Ich bin Vegetarier. So I'm a vegetarian. Ich bin Vegetarier. If you want to eat vegetarian, you might want to say, ich möchte vegetarisch essen. Remember we've had ich möchte before, I would like. Essen is to eat, I would like to eat vegetarian. So ich möchte vegetarisch essen. In restaurants you might want to look out for words like vegetarische Küche, which is vegetarian kitchen, vegetarian cuisine. Or you may want to ask, haben Sie vegetarisches Essen? Do you have vegetarian food? The good thing is that Vegetarier, vegetarisch all looks very much like the English vegetarian, so if you read it, it should be very easy to find. If you're going a step further and you're a vegan, then you would need to say the exact sentences we've just had, but ich bin Veganer. Ich bin Veganer. Or ich möchte vegan essen. And vegan cuisine or vegan kitchen is vegane Küche. And if you want to ask, haben Sie veganes Essen? What about if you need to eat gluten-free? And again, the word is very similar to English, gluten-frei. So there's your literally translation of gluten-free, gluten-frei. If you have to eat gluten-free, ich muss glutenfrei essen. I have to eat gluten-free or I must eat gluten-free. And haben Sie glutenfreies Essen? And I picked one more out, which is lactose intolerant. And similar to the glutenfrei, in German it's laktosefrei. Ich muss laktosefrei essen. Or haben Sie laktosefreie Milch? And that's where I stopped, because when I looked on websites, I thought I don't know where to stop there. So please, if this is important to you, I haven't covered it, and you can't work out what you would need to know, please get in contact. I'm sure between the two of us we can work it out somehow.